Who is Israel Adesanya?
Israel Adesanya! The best middleweight on planet Earth.
So Zoe, congrats on Stylebender. I got to see you, as I was saying, from all the way back, the back of the cinema at last night's Q&A screening. Firstly, what's it like watching the film in a packed theatre?
It wasn't the first time. I had been in Tribeca in New York where it premiered, but actually having the screening in Sydney last night was just really special. I think, it felt like there were a lot of fans there, and it was just, really warmly received, which is cool.
Is there always like a little bit of extra pressure when it's like an audience who also loves Izzy?
Yeah, I definitely felt a bit of pressure or extra pressure, just given that so many of his fans were there, and there'd be high expectations or just expectations in general that they'd want to see, but hopefully it delivered, and
Before we deep dive into Stylebender, we're going to talk about some of your past works for a little bit. Works like Lost in Wonderland, The Deadly Ponies Gang, and even recently, my breakup with God. You have this affinity with kind of outsiders looking to kind of find themselves. What kind of attracts you to that ideal?
Yeah, I've been asked this a lot, and it's definitely in my work, 100%. I don't know whether I consciously do it, but I am certainly attracted to people who aren't afraid of like getting out of their comfort zone or stepping to the beat of their own drum, or are just, they have adversity or a setback in their life but somehow triumph, and they do it in their weird way. And I love characters like that, and I don't actually know where that comes from.
Did you kind of get that impression from Izzy the first time you met him?
Yeah, he absolutely ticked the boxes for me in terms of a character that I would invest time in. He's charismatic, he's controversial, he's complex, he's got so many like internal complexities and contrasts. So I was immediately interested and intrigued.
As a filmmaker and documentarian, when you kind of see a story like Izzy, or Izzy's story, do you kind of know what it is from the outset, or do you kind of find out during the filming process?
I think it's a bit of both. You know, you as a filmmaker, you have to write a treatment to get funding, and so you've got to give them a sense of what the story is. And so I think I had a sense of the general structure and outline. But wow, that changed so much. I think the biggest turning point for me was when I found out he had a therapist, and I suddenly thought, right, that's the way that we're going to see the vulnerable and truthful Israel, not just the glossy, hyped up one. So yeah, that was when I knew that we really had an interesting film.
In the past, you talked about, in relation to Stylebender, how it was vital to the film that you had like 100% creative control. Was that something, let's say from Izzy's point, like Izzy's side, was a leap of faith, or was that something that was kind of worked out from the jump, or again during the filming process? Like, how did you kind of come to that agreement?
To his credit, Israel never questioned that. I think there was a level of trust and an exchange between us where I think he was on board with my vision, and he could tell that I was there for the right reasons. You certainly don't make money in this industry or in this job. So I wasn't there for that. And I think he just trusted that. But yeah, creative control was crucial to me, because at the end of the day, he's a superstar. And if people thought for a second that this was like a puff piece, or that this was, you're only seeing him in this one-dimensional way, well, A, I don't want my name to attach to that, but B, I just don't think anyone will want to watch it.
Interestingly enough for me, because I saw it with my brother, and we're both fans of Izzy, and UFC fans, etc. But by the end, I forgot that fighting was even involved in the film. From the outset, did you think of it as a sports film, or was it actively trying to kind of push that to the back and really hone in on Izzy during the film?
I think initially, like it had to have fighting in it, because that's obviously such an essential part of him and his journey. But it wasn't everything. And I think right in the beginning, I spoke to Israel about the need for this film to go beyond the UFC fans. Like it had to resonate with, you know, my mum, my best mate who came last night, people who are fascinated by psychology and what drives people to try and accomplish these incredible things, which he's done, you know. I mean, he's a champion after champion after champion.
Speaking of fighting, the backdrop of the film are these big fights, but you got Izzy to really open up and kind of show a sensitive side to himself, a very vulnerable side to himself. Was it jarring for you to see that, but then the duality of seeing him punch people in the face in the cage?
Yeah, that word duality is bang on, because he's full of that, and he's full of contrasts. Was it hard to see? It wasn't necessarily hard to see, but it certainly made him an extremely interesting subject. Like, to have those two, to have that duality within you is really interesting. And I think everyone actually has those, I think everyone has parts of them that potentially wants to fight someone, and also that sensitivity, that emotional side. Whether we act on it, probably not, but I think we're constantly battling between those two, kind of that dark and light side in us.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I loved about the film is that it captures all these really kind of raw and candid moments, like him talking about his past traumas and his upbringing, the passing of Falvake, a Pacific online controversy. I guess, curiously, how do you kind of approach the presence of the camera when filming those moments?
Yeah, I think, it's a tricky one. With the therapy sessions, I made sure that I was completely out of the room and listening with audio, so it could evolve and happen right then and there. With the funeral and death and all that stuff, that was just observational, and actually Jeff, one of his friends, really helped me out there in terms of just that intimate access that he was able to get, you know. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a background in dance? Right?
I would not say my background. I just really love dance. I love, I mean, I've done tango, but I wouldn't say I'm a champion tango dancer. I just love dancing, and I love that it is a form of your own unique expression. And I don't care if you can dance to a rhythm or what, but I just think I just love it.
As me and my brother were driving over Sydney's beautiful Anzac Bridge after watching the screening, we were talking about how physicality is such a big part of any movie related to sports. But I feel like in a movie that would usually be related to fighting, a lot of the cutaway shots would be punching a heavy bag or like skip rope. But you chose the route of dancing and showing Izzy's like ability to move his body in this amazing way, and crumping and like popping and stuff like that. What made you decide to incorporate dance into the film, or that was the type of physicality you wanted to show in the film?
Yeah, I think when I found out the type of dance that he does, which is crump, and how it's all about expressing your emotions and showing all your vulnerabilities, that was when I was like, absolutely, I can use dance to illustrate what's going through him psychologically. So when we're understanding his bullying and learning about that, you know, we see him in this urinal dancing, and it's moving, and it's intense. I probably gave away too much there, but anyway.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah. But yeah, because I think it was amazing when he was saying that he can fight in front of 16,000 people, but dancing in front of 3 people scares him.
Yeah, and that's genuine. Like, I found it harder to get access to film his crump dancing than to film his full-on therapy sessions. So it is like a very vulnerable space for him. It's like someone reading his diary, really.
Yeah. And I guess to kind of wrap it up, the last question, I think a lot of people love this film. I think a lot of fight fans will see this film, a lot of fans of Izzy. But even speaking for myself, I think this film resonates on such a way for just kind of anyone, and especially children of immigrants. Like when I was watching it, even though I'm not Nigerian, I grew up in a Chinese household, just those similar ways that parental love is shown and experienced just really resonated with me. What do you kind of hope audiences take away from the film besides seeing Izzy?
Yeah, I really love hearing that, your interpretation of it. It's cool to hear that. I hope that people kind of just embrace their weirdness, because I think after following Israel since 2019, one of the strongest things I observed is he's finally got to a place where he's understood that his weirdness, or what was bullied out of him at school, is actually a superpower, and that if you can stop trying to be like everyone else and actually just be your strange, quirky self, that can be a weapon, and it's a beautiful thing, and I love that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, and congratulations on Stylebender. Yeah, and good luck to Izzy this Sunday.
Thank you so much. It was a great chat. Cheers.
Who is Israel Adesanya? Try and put me in a box. That's the story you're telling yourself, but that's not the truth.